when life gets so difficult and you want to make changes, when you want change, some kind of change in your life, and you aren't able to initiate it because there's a lot of external things that you have no control over. Like we don't have any control over other people. Maybe we have a financial situation that's going on that you can't get more money if you need it because you just have a cap or whatever, or there's maybe it's your environment, like, well, there's things I want to move, but there's all of these things in my way. There's so many times that we want to make a change, but the change that we want to make is kind of contingent on a lot of other circumstances. So instead of doing nothing, what I did in the past and what I do now is I think about my side of the street. I think about what is it that I could do that will move me forward in whatever it is that I need to do. And generally, those things are things we have to do anyway. So even if everything else was taken care of, like the person fell in line, the bank account fell in line, the job fell in line, the opportunity to, get whatever it is you needed all came into place. Even if we could do all of that, we're faced with realizing there's stuff we need to do. And so that stuff that we know we would need to do anyway, we could do now. And what happens is life tends to fall into place when we begin action, when we take action. So like, think about things like, well, what is on your side of the street? Do you have an end table that's overflowing? Do you have too many clothes? Is your room a disaster? Are the things you need to work on for you? Like you're not getting up on time, you're not going to sleep on time, you're not taking care of yourself, like all of these things. You can make a list of all of the things that you can do and then begin to work on those things. And that will blaze a trail for the thing that it is that you felt like you had no control over, that you needed the change for, to suddenly open up into this place where it's like, oh my God, I could do this now and I could do that now. If we give God something to work with, he will just pour out abundantly to us what it is that we need. But as long as we're doing nothing, we're giving him nothing to work with. So here's one little example. When I had my house a long time ago, it really was in disrepair. It needed a lot of work. It was a beautiful house, but it needed a lot of work. I knew it needed a new kitchen. I knew it needed a new bathroom. That it needed the floors redone. And I didn't have the availability of funds to get that done. So one day when I was in the shower, it seems like a lot of things come to me in the shower. I think that happens for a lot of people. I almost heard a voice. It wasn't really an audible voice, but it felt like it was from outside me. And it was like, do the best you can with what you've got. And it was like this light bulb moment. And I was like, you know what? I could do that. And I opened up a Pinterest board and I named it My Funky House. And I started searching on the internet things that I could do in my house as it was that would make it better than it was that right then. And so I'd find things on the internet and I drag them into that board. And a lot of the things I didn't do, but they were inspiration of what I could do with what I had. Some of the things I actually did do, like I completely redid my front porch, which gave me such a different feel to the house. I redid my kitchen, not as in the fact of remodeling it, but I made it the best it could be for what it was right then and there. And so while I didn't get what I wished for, I did get actually what I wanted, which was a home that made me feel good to live in. And then there were other things in the house that I knew I could have done. Like there was a storage area that I could have streamlined and got rid of. There were things that I could have said. I said to myself, all right, well, what if I was a minimalist? How would it be if I was in this room? So everything about every area of the house did change for me. But as long as I was looking at what I couldn't do, I couldn't make the changes. But when I looked at the things that, all right, well, what do I have control over? All of a sudden, other things began to become available, and the help that I needed to do certain things, was there and then for me to, just reach out and take. So there's that, right? Like a chandelier came to me, help I needed came to me, the inspiration to do the things, and also the desire, I had this fire under my butt to get stuff done. So anyway, there was that. Sometimes when we're in a relationship that's crappy, we tend to only focus on the relationship, say, all right, this is an example. But if we can say, all right, well, what can I do on my side of the street so that will do something towards getting somewhere, instead of saying like, well, he won't change, there's nothing I could do, well, this is the way it is, there's nothing I could do. It's like being in the victim modality, whereas there's no possible way you could be empowered when you're feeling like and thinking like a victim and giving all your power away to what other people can do. Sometimes we feel like this is what I'm supposed to have, like this is the way it's supposed to be, but we're leaving happiness on the table, and we're dragging sadness and sorrow and disappointment along with us, as long as we stay in the mindset of, well, this is exactly what I want, and I won't budge from that. There's a verse in the Bible, again with the Bible, that Paul says, no matter what state I'm in, therewith I will be content. And so by him saying that, it doesn't mean that we're supposed to be happy being miserable and poor, or miserable and abused, all right? Not that at all. But that wherever I am right now, if I can't change it, I need to learn how to adjust my attitude, because you're living it anyway. It isn't like by you being miserable, it's going to change. If you're being abused, get your ass out of there, okay? But if you're not being abused, if it's just like, well, this is what life is right now, figure it out. There were so many years when I was miserable. I didn't have a life like my family had, like my brothers and sisters had, like I grew up with. There was very little money. There was no vacation funds. There was so much that was bad about it. But now looking back, I was living it anyway. I still had the same kids. I still had the same life. I still lived in the same place. What could I have done? Well, one of the things I could have done was enjoyed something really simple, like let's go have a picnic. Let's go to the free movie on the beach, or let's go to the free movie in the park. Let's build a tent in the living room and put a VCR tape in. Yeah, that was back then. Put a VCR tape in and watch all, like binge watch all Disney movies or something like that. If we feel like we have to have what we think we're supposed to have, we're missing out on happy right now. And then in the meantime, figure it out. All right, what can I do in this situation? And there was plenty I could have done, but all I could have seen is what I didn't have and what I wasn't getting. Same thing with my house. For how many years did I live in it unhappily because of the state it was in, when at the time, all I needed to do was ask myself, what could I do? Gallon of paint, some curtains, and some garage sales, and bada boom, Not to mention, if you're living in a mess and one of your things is, I really want a beautiful home, what's the difference if it's beautiful, if it's not cleaned up, right? Start with cleaning it up. Give God something to work with. You'll be surprised at how things change. If you like this video, please like it, share it with a friend, and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click on that little bell so that you'll know when I put up another video.
You got bugs called a bug eye. You cook bacon, apple pie. If you show you fix or tear, clean or clean my underwear. These are the things we do. The house is a mess with all the junk. The sink's clogged up with dinner time gunk. You pick up the phone and call Roto-Rooter to make it all work. You call the tiny tutor.
I think that was pretty good, don't you?